I'm gonna do it, guys. I'm gonna do a mobile 1.3 Let's Play. I think it's time. A lot of people have been asking me if I would do this, and I've indicated usually that I would. I do have some reservations. My phone is a Samsung S7, which is kind of middle of the road. I've run into a bit of slowdown when I've been messing around. Just going into the settings menu, there are a few things you can do to mitigate that. I've turned off parallax scrolling. I've done the frame rate cap at 30 frames a second. I've disabled some screen effects, and that's really all I can do to help with the frame rate. It's not terrible, but if I'm going to be doing this Let's Play, I wanted to maybe turn down some settings so the quality would be higher. I think I'm probably going to get a new mobile device at some point to help play this, but enough about that. Let's get started. I'm going to start a new character. And I am not nearly good enough at the mobile version yet to go beyond the easy setting of softcore, medium core, and hardcore. It's just too tough for me, at least right now. So let's name this character. How about... something original. How about NRLP Noob. That seems fitting, right? Alright. And then let's mix this up just a little bit. Alright, that'll do. So we'll start with this guy here, NRLP Noob. Again, a very suitable name. And let's create a new world. I want you to see how fast or how slowly, depending on your view, my Samsung Galaxy S7 generates a small world. So let's do small normal. And I think it's pretty fast. Again, I'm not too experienced with mobile gaming. I'm certainly not overly experienced with mobile Terraria. But I am familiar with how long it takes to create a world on my rather fast gaming PC. And all things being equal, this is certainly acceptable. It's slower than my PC, but surprisingly fast. And overall, I would say the performance of mobile 1.3 for me has been a very pleasant surprise. I thought, maybe they were being a little too hopeful when they gave the min specs for mobile 1.3, but no, they're actually, I would say, quite accurate and fair in assessing what was required for this game. I think my level of phone is probably kind of middle of the road, recommended minimum, as they would put it. And that seems to be just about right. Again, I haven't really played this without recording in the background and casting to my PC. I don't know how much that eats into the performance. I have shut down all background apps and optimized the phone as best I can to help with the performance. How much impact that really makes, I don't know, but I've done what I can, and so this is really the best case scenario for this phone while casting to my PC. And as you can see from the progress bar, this is going to be a crimson world. If you don't know, the map on the left at the top center will be that kind of reddish color if it's a crimson world. I guess you could say a crimson, not red. And it's purple if it's corruption. This is obviously going to be a crimson world, which means that the ore varieties are going to be named slightly differently from the corruption world. So I won't have iron in the world, I'll have lead, that sort of thing. But for the most part, this is going to be your standard world. And when I play this, keep in mind, I'm going to have to explain some things that may seem very basic to you if you're experienced with Terraria, because this is also a Let's Play for beginners who are new to the game. Remember, a lot of people only just bought this game for the first time. It's doing really well on the Google Play Store, and I'm sure it's doing just as well for the Apple Store as well. And so, welcome Terraria newbies. You're not alone, as I indicated through my character's name. He's a newcomer also, so you're in good company here. And just walking around, it's pretty nice. I've turned off some of the parallax scrolling, but the zoom out to the map, that's a really cool feature. And I just like this effect where the background changes as you zoom in and out. It looks really nice. And this fellow over here, if you're not familiar, he's the guide, and one of the nice things about Mobile 1.3 is this crafting menu. If you have items in your inventory, he can assist you in learning what you can and cannot craft. Over here on the left, I'll need to switch to the axe because, let's see if I can see it when zooming out. No, you can't quite see it, but there's a sun in the sky and there's a day-night cycle, and so I really need to get some kind of base up and running before nightfall, because if you've ever played Minecraft, you'll know that one of the things you need to do is to get some kind of shelter in place before the first night arrives, because nighttime in Minecraft and nighttime in Terraria are the same. It's when really the bad guys come out in force, and so you're going to want that shelter to protect what is probably your character at his most vulnerable. Now in the background here you can see that the guide is actually shooting his bow and arrow, so he'll help you out if you stay around the spawn point. He'll help you out by firing arrows at anything that comes along. That was a slime. Slimes are actually important to get rid of when you see them, not just for your player's safety, but because if you're not, again, familiar with the game, they drop an item called gel. And among other things, gel is critical in crafting. Crafting torches, specifically torches, are going to be your primary light source, at least early on, and you're going to want quite a few of them. So don't shy away from attacking those guys or letting the guide shoot them down. Certainly collect that gel when it drops, because you're going to want to use it to create torches. What I'm doing is I'm just clearing the local trees out of the way. Don't worry, they can grow back. But you're going to want quite a bit of wood. Wood is used not only for the exterior walls, but for what are called background walls in your base. And in order for your base to really be recognized by the game as a base that can store NPCs and prevent enemies from spawning, you really need background walls. Otherwise, it doesn't count as player housing, and you don't get the same kind of protection as you do with a full-fledged house. Now, I'm almost done. I think this is probably a bit of overkill on the wood. Let's call this my last tree. One of the things that drops other than wood are acorns. Acorns are obviously very useful in replenishing the wood that you chop down and lose. Alright, so let me select the wood here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a fairly boxy and rudimentary home here. And I will have to eventually tidy this up a little bit, but it's alright if it's not overly pretty when you first do it. This is really just getting the bare bones up and running. You're going to have a fairly large base when all is said and done, so don't worry about maybe making it too big. If anything, it's going to be too small when all is said and done. You're going to have a fairly large base quicker than you probably think. So I'm going to build a little bit of breathing room for my character here. The last time I played Mobile Terraria, I ran into this kind of funny issue where I had a spawn point right where I put a door, so every time I would reload the game, it would eliminate the door. It's kind of annoying, but also amusing. Anyway, going to the player inventory, if I select the wood, over on the right there, already highlighted, is the crafting table. I definitely want that. It uses 10 wood to craft. It's very important. It's how you get your character off the ground in terms of crafting, and it's really a requirement to build the first basic rooms in your house. And so let's go ahead and walk over to a clear section and put the sucker down. Okay, and what happens is once you're within range of it, once it's placed, and it's placed here, you'll notice that there are a lot of new wooden items my character can craft. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put some doors down. And I'll have to craft them, obviously, before I can put them down anywhere. Let's go ahead and start with 3 doors. And let's have a look at placing them. There's one. And the beauty of it is your character in Mobile Terraria can just walk right through them and it opens and closes automatically. Let's put another one here. And again, if you're a new player, keep in mind you have to kind of build the walls up. You can't just put a door down in open space. You have to have this kind of aperture here that you see to the right of my character before it'll work. And now that I have the walls in place and the doors in place, as long as the guide doesn't do something silly and open the door for the slimes or any creatures that are outside, I'm going to be protected. But I mentioned background walls earlier. I've selected this wood wall here. You can make them rather quickly, but that's good because you're actually going to go through a surprising number of wooden walls. And so, now that I've done that, watch how quickly the game plants these. Isn't that nice? It's what on the PC version we refer to as the smart cursor, but it's on by default in the mobile version. And I can tell you, if you don't use the smart cursor, placing walls is actually kind of a finicky process. Excuse me. And so it's really nice to have this. This is one of, at least early on in my experience, one of my favorite parts about mobile Terraria is these wooden walls. And you see, I've already run out of these things, so you're going to have to make quite a few. So let's build a few more. We're not going to build too large a base, but I'm going to go ahead and put these in. And there we go. It's done. So what do you need next? Well, I mentioned light sources earlier. I'm going to have to at some point build some torches, so let's go ahead and do that. And I used the gels and the wood, the gels from the slimes and the wood I already chopped down to create those torches. So let's go ahead and place some torches. For a building to count as an abode, essentially, for NPCs, you need a light source, you need walls, you need a surface, and you need some kind of seat. And so, we're doing pretty well so far. We've got the background walls, we've got the door, we've got the light sources. Next, what we're going to want to do is, bear with me here, what we're going to want to do next is use some more of this wood that we've harvested to create some furniture, because I want to go ahead and have enough room in here for 2 NPCs, just to get started. It's not a lot, right? 2. So, I'm going to build 2 tables. You can see I still have 93 wood, which is more than enough. So let's go ahead and build or craft 2 tables. And with every table you need a chair, so 2 chairs. Nothing too elaborate there. Let's go ahead and plant these down. I'm going to select the table. I'm going to plant it right there. So there's almost a complete abode ready and waiting for my guide. And there you go. This room on the right, that can be the guide's house. Over here, let's go ahead and create a little more room for the table in this second room. We can always pickaxe up the workbench and plant it down in just a moment. If you basically remove it from the map using the pickaxe, it doesn't destroy the workbench, it just makes it so that you can pick it up again. So I've made room for the table. Let's put that table down. I have another chair. And look at that. How about that? 2 lovely little boxy rooms. The first NPC I'll probably get, other than this guide, once I reach 50 silver, is an NPC called the Merchant. And that really doesn't need any explaining, does it? The Merchant sells things, but he also buys things. And, you know, depending on your luck, it might take more time than you think to acquire 50 silver. Silver you can get by killing enemies. You can get it from chests, from pots, and things from exploring. Basically, you've got to go out into the world and explore and take some risks to get silver. It doesn't just spawn automatically. But once you have 50 silver total, you'll have enough, and the guide will be joined by the merchant NPC. And so your collection of NPCs will grow in that manner. Again, sorry if you're very familiar with Terraria. I think this is really more of a beginner's Let's Play. I do plan on doing an expert mode playthrough on PC in the near future, but with Mobile 1.3 only just out, I thought it was suitable to go ahead and do a Let's Play with the mobile version. Now, let's take a moment here to just assess what we can build and what we can't build. Over here on the right, the top right, the crafting menu. Obviously, all I have is wood at the moment. I don't have much. Unlike the PC version, no, never mind. You do start with the copper short sword. Okay, one thing I definitely want is this wooden sword here. Why do I want the wooden sword? Well, let me show you what the attack arc looks like for the copper short sword. It's rather pathetic. See that? It doesn't go over your head or anything. It's awful. It's the worst weapon in the game, I think. And it doesn't do much damage. It does 5 melee damage. Well, check out this wooden sword. Not only does it do 2 more damage, But let me put it in my... Okay, let's try this. Look at that. That's way better. At nighttime, what happens is these flying eyeballs spawn, and they fly above your head, just like the slimes jump over your head, and so you're really going to want to get something that has an attack arc, and that copper short sword just isn't cutting it. Alright, let me mine my way out of here. I kind of painted myself into a corner, I guess you could say. Alright, let me demonstrate this on the slime. So, I made short work of the slime. That was rather easy. Mercifully easy, I would say, thanks to the new sword. One thing I like to do, and that I would recommend for you to do, is rather early on, go ahead and try to put some torches around your base. It's nice to have light sources, because you'll find that things get a little hectic if you don't see where you're going. I know that sounds like something that's self-evident, but you know, in the commotion of getting a base up and running, it's something you might neglect early on. So I definitely recommend, even if it's just maybe 2 torches like this on either side of the base, getting some light sources out there so you don't have to worry about anything. You see where you're going, and it's just not something you have to stress about. So that's, again, something I would urge you to do. Let's go ahead and put that torch back. Alright, and it's nighttime. Once the zombies arrive and these flying eyeballs arrive, you'll know it's nighttime. And the strength of these enemies is tougher than what appears during the daytime. It's kind of, if you've ever played the old classic Castlevania 2, it's kind of the same thing with that, where the difficulty just ramps up and it's more challenging. In fact, these things may get me. Yeah, they got me. So, you know, your character is really vulnerable this early on, and I wouldn't say it's disheartening because you don't really lose anything at this point. You don't really have much wealth to lose, and you can quickly jump and pick it back up. But you gotta be careful, especially if you ventured far from your base and you drop some coin that you want to not lose. You gotta be careful at this early stage because your guy is as vulnerable as he'll ever be. As you just saw, I mean, I am a bit of a newbie at the mobile version of Terraria, but, you know, I'm no spring chicken when it comes to Terraria itself, and I still got clobbered there by these nighttime enemies, so don't underestimate them. Anyway, what have we done so far? Well, what have we done? Well, we've made a more suitable weapon, this weapon here. We've explored a little bit around the base, not a lot. We've cleared the forest around the base to harvest the wood that's used in all of this wooden crafting. We've built a very basic base with 1 entrance and exit to it. 2 NPC rooms, 1 for the guide. Unfortunately, the guide will automatically take up your first room. That's just inevitable. But we've made space for the merchant when he feels that I have enough coin clinking around my pocket. And so that's taken care of. Next order of business is to survive the night. Night is slightly shorter than the daytime, mercifully. I'm really at my crafting limit here with the wooden items. I could craft some wooden armor, which I may go ahead and do momentarily, but at this point, what I need to do is I need to go out and adventure, get some coin, get some stone. I do use the pickaxe for that. And then I need to start getting some metals. Usually it starts with copper level, which is the most rudimentary ore that's out there. You harvest it, and then you smelt it in a furnace. And we'll get to that all in good time. But suffice it to say, I've built my headquarters. I've kind of got my feet planted, or at least planted enough. And the next order of business is to simply wait out the night and then go exploring when it's a little bit safer. So I'm going to leave off here. I think that's a good introduction. And stay tuned for the next episode. I'm going to try to do one of these every day. So I appreciate you if you've watched this far. Stay tuned and maybe we'll learn a little bit about mobile Terraria together. How about that? So thanks again. I will see you in the next video.